this video, we'll be learning about the different types of verbs and their conjugations. The first type of verb in Spanish is an AR verb. These are verbs that end in AR. For example, hablar, which means to speak. Hablar ends in an AR, so it's classified as an AR verb. The next type of verb is an ER verb. These are verbs that end in ER. For example, ser, which means to be, is an ER verb because its ending is an ER. The last type of verb is ir. These are verbs that end in IR. So for example, in Spanish, there's a verb that's literally ir, and ir means to go. So since it's IR, that means it ends in IR, so it's an IR verb. So first we'll start with the endings that correlate to the pronouns. The first pronoun is yo, which means I, and the ending is o. So to conjugate it, you just replace the AR in hablar with an O. So it would be yo hablo, which means I speak or I am speaking. The second pronoun is tú, which means you, and the ending is AS or as. So the conjugation is tú hablas. Again, you replace the AR with the ending. Then the next set of pronouns are él, ella, and usted, and they all have the same ending, which is a. So it'll be habla, or él, ella, usted, habla, and it's the same one for all three of those pronouns. Next we have nosotros, which means we, and the ending for that is amos. So again, you replace the AR with the ending. So hablar becomes nosotros hablamos. The next one is vosotros, which means you all. And this one's ending is ais. So again, replace the AR with the ending. So hablar becomes hablais. So it's vosotros hablais. And the last set of pronouns are ellos, ellas, and ustedes, which again, those three all have the same ending, which is an. So again, you replace the AR with the ending, so hablar becomes hablan. So it's ellos hablan, ellas hablan, or ustedes hablan. Now let's look at some sentences with the conjugated verbs. The first one is yo hablo español. So since we remember, yo is a pronoun which means I, that means I. And since we're using a pronoun, we have to conjugate the verb accordingly. So the conjugation for yo is o. So you replace the AR for hablar with o. So it becomes yo hablo español, which means I speak Spanish. Now, you do the same thing for the rest of the pronouns. So with tú, the ending was AS, so you conjugate hablas. So tú hablas inglés would be you speak English. Next is él habla español. So if you remember, él, ella, and usted, they all had the same ending, which was a or a. So for those three pronouns, it's going to be the same verb. Él habla español means he speaks Spanish. Ella habla español means she speaks Spanish. And usted habla español, the usted pronoun means you, but it's for formal, so people older than you. So you speak Spanish. Next is nosotros. So the ending for nosotros was amos. So again, you replace the AR in hablar with amos. So nosotros hablamos español is we speak Spanish. Then the next one is vosotros. So if you remember, the ending for vosotros is ais. So you replace the AR with hablar in ais. So vosotros habláis español means you all speak Spanish. And for the last three, if you remember, ellos, ellas, and ustedes, they all have the same ending, which is an. So what you do is you just replace the AR in hablar with an, so it becomes hablan, and then you put the pronoun. So ellos hablan español means they speak Spanish, but it'll be used for a group of boys or a group of boys and girls. Ellas hablan español means they speak Spanish, but this one will be used if you're talking about a group of girls. And lastly, ustedes hablan español. This is also they speak Spanish, but if you remember, ustedes is when you're talking to people who are older than you or formal. So you're talking to a group of people who are older than you and you have to speak formal. So now we'll start with the new verb estudiar, which means to study. So the yo form is yo estudio because the pronoun is yo, which means the pattern or the ending is o. And so you just replace the ar in estudiar with o. So it becomes yo estudio, which means I study. Next is tú. So the pronoun is tú. The ending or the pattern is as. So you replace the ar in estudiar with as. So it becomes tú estudias, which is you study. Next is él, ella, and usted. So again, for these three pronouns, the ending or the pattern is the same. It's a. So you replace estudiar, you replace the ar with the pattern, so a. So it becomes él estudia if you want to say he studies or he is studying. Ella estudia if you want to say she studies or she is studying. And usted estudia if you want to say you formal are studying. Next is nosotros, and the pattern for this is amos. So you replace the ar in estudiar with amos, so it becomes estudiamos, and you have the pronoun nosotros, so it becomes nosotros estudiamos, which means we are studying or we study. The next pronoun is vosotros, and the pattern for this pronoun is ice. So you replace the ar in estudiar with ice, so it becomes estudiais, and you have your pronoun vosotros, so it becomes vosotros estudiais, which means you all are studying. And finally, the last three pronouns are ellos, ellas, and ustedes, and the pattern for this is an. So again, you replace the ar in estudiar with an. So, and you have three pronouns. So it's going to be ellos estudian, which means they, group of boys, study. Ellas estudian, they, group of girls, study. Or ustedes estudian, which is like a group of people you respect, study. So now let's look at sentences. So the first one, yo estudio español. Yo means I. The pattern for yo is O. So that's why estudiar has a O at the end. So estudio, and then español means Spanish. So I study Spanish. And you do the same thing for the rest of the pronouns too. So tú estudias español. Tú means you. Estudiar is the pronoun, and the pattern for tú is as, so it's correct with the pattern. So you are studying Spanish. And él estudia español. Él means he. Estudiar means to study. It's been conjugated to match él. And so él estudia español is he is studying Spanish. And it's the same for ella and usted. And then nosotros estudiamos español. So nosotros means we. Estudiar means to study. And the pattern for nosotros is amos. So it's correctly been conjugated with estudiamos. So nosotros estudiamos español means we are studying Spanish. Next, vosotros estudiáis español. Vosotros means you all, and the pattern for vosotros is ice. So estudiar is the verb. Estudiar means to study. The pattern for vosotros means is ice, and you replace the ar, so it becomes estudiáis. So vosotros estudiáis español is you all are studying Spanish. And then the last three, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Ellos means they for a group of boys, and estudiar is the verb, which means to study. The pattern for ellos is an, so it's correctly conjugated. So ellos estudian español means they are studying Spanish for a group of boys. And it's the same meaning for ellas and ustedes, except for ellas, it's for a group of girls, and ustedes, it's for like a group of people you respect. So when you're making sentences, if you're translating a sentence from Spanish to English, you always look at the pronoun first and you say, what does that pronoun mean? Well, if it's ella, it means she. So you write down she first. Then you look at the verb. So the verb is estudiar, and so estudiar means to study. So you write study. And then you look at the other word, and español means Spanish. So you write Spanish down. And if you're translating a sentence from English to Spanish, first you translate the pronoun, then you find the verb. So in this case, studying is estudiar, but then you change the verb to match the pattern that goes with the pronoun, and you add whatever the rest of the sentence is.